Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the part 6 of this series of videos about exam questions in Blackboard. In our last video, we talked about hiding the grades in the grade center. We talked also about some issues with multiple answer type of question as well as fill in multiple blanks. And we ended the video with a tutorial on how to change the size of the images in Blackboard. So let's carry on. As you remember in the last video, we changed the size of the image, or we included the image in the stem. How about if you want to include images in the answers? By default, this option is not available unless you switched it on from the question settings, which is this area here, question setting. And then you should check add images, files, and web links to answers, and then click on submit. Now let's try it out by creating a multiple choice question. Okay. Let's add a stem. Which image shows Mars? We have some options. We need to take our selection here, and we'll have random. And we have 4 choices. As you can see, these items or options were not available before we activated the option from the question settings. So that will allow us to add images to the answers. Here in the special action, we need to check on or choose display image within the page, because if you choose the first option, which is create a link, the image will appear in a pop-up window when the student click on the link. And if the student has the pop-up blocker turned on, the student will not be able to see the image. So it's always recommended to use display image within the page. Then we'll choose a file. And you need to have something written in the answer, even if it's a full stop. You cannot leave it blank. Second option. And we'll choose this ready button to indicate the correct answer. Choose file and dot. And last fourth, and dot here, and go all the way to the end and click on submit. Okay, let's go to the last and see. So we have the question. You can click on here to remove this option, and you have the four options. And then if we take the test. Click on begin, use the navigation to click on the last option, and you can see that we have the stem, we have the 4 items which represent the options, and you can see that they have been randomly assigned. So let's click, for example, on this. We click save and submit, and check our answer, go all the way to the end. And you can see this is not the correct answer, and this is what the student had chosen, and these are the 4 answers that we wanted. So let's go back. Alright, now let's shift to something else, to a different type of exam question, which is the jumbled sentence. I didn't want at the beginning to explain it because it's very technical and it might cause confusing reactions for some. However, some colleagues have asked me a lot of questions regarding specific situations, and the best question type to use is jumbled answer in that jumbled sentence. In that context. However, I need to say it upfront. It's very technical. If you think that this is the first time to create a exam question or a bank, and not feel comfortable with the first types of exam questions that we mentioned in the last couple of videos, maybe you shouldn't use jumbled sentence. However, if you master the jumbled sentence exam question, it's very powerful. So I'm going to explain certain scenarios of how to use it, but I'm going to start with the first, typical or the regular method for or regular scenario for using the jumbled sentence. So let's create a question, a jumbled sentence question. All right. And basically, we can place a statement here, and then we switch it apart, switch the order of the words, and we want the students to mention the correct order of the words. So in each part that we want the student to answer, we'll create or include a letter in a bracket, similar to the way that we used for creation of fill-in multiple blanks. So like this. And 4, 5, 6. Let's include another one. And so we have a sentence consisting of 6 words, and we'll jumble it around. You can allow partial credit, and the number of answers that you want here is 6 to coincide with the letters that we included in the stem. So we have 6 letters here, and we have 6 answers. It's very important when you place the answers, you don't include it in the proper order. You shuffle it around. So I want to say our son is a dwarf star. Alright, let's go to the next. This will allow us to get or to tell Blackboard which is the correct answer. So our son is a dwarf star. This is the correct sequence of the answer. And let's click on submit. Let's go all the way to bottom to run the test. Let's begin. And we go all the way to the bottom. And you can see this is the question, and we have 6 answers or 6 options. And for each option, you're going to see that the option for the answers are repeated. So it's all of the items have the same drop down menu. So let's give it the correct answer is a dwarf star and set. Click OK. OK here. Go all the way to the end, and this is the correct sequence, and we got it correctly. Okay. And it gets included 1 point because we changed the default in the previous video. Let's click on OK. Okay, so let's talk about a different scenario for the jumbled sentence. So let's edit the test and create another jumbled sentence. Okay. So, for example, if you want multiple choice question, you can include, if they have 2 multiple choice questions which are related, you can use the jumbled sentence to include 2 multiple choice questions in the same sentence. For example, something like this. Copy and paste here. Alright, so we have this statement, and we have water has 2 oxygen atoms, whereas ozone has 3 oxygen atoms. And here we can change this line item by a letter. Alright, and allow partial answer, and then we can remove 2 of the options. Alright, so to leave only 2 options, and we can have, for example, 2 and 3. Alright, you can have 2 or 3 if you want the answer to include only 2 options. However, you can include additional items and leave it as like this. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just click on next, and then it will ask you what is the exact correct answer. So water has 2 oxygen atoms, whereas ozone have 3. So the sentence is having 2, like if you have 2 multiple choice questions in a single statement, and as you can see, the 4 options are repeated in both items. So let's click on submit and scroll all the way down and run the test. Last question, multiplication, and you can see water has 0. So this is the first part can be considered as a multiple choice, and the second part can also be considered as a multiple choice. But since they are related, we can include it in a jumbled sentence and have 2 multiple choice questions. Alright, so let's make another scenario for the jumbled sentence. Go all the way to the bottom, and let's add another jumbled sentence. Okay, for example, if we have a scenario, in the scenario we can add an image. So let's include an image. Example, this image, and insert. Alright, and in the scenario we can have something like this. I'm gonna copy from here, right? Let's change the formatting a little bit, increase the size. So the diagnosis, of course, this is a factual or a fictional scenario. The image is A, and here we have this is B, and this is C. Okay, so the diagnosis of this case is, the management is, and the patient age is. Okay, let's go down, now partial, and in this situation I'm gonna have 9 answers. I'm gonna have 9 answers. Of course, the answer does not need to coincide with the exact number of options that we have. So let's have something, for example, here. I'm gonna include here 8 and include 9, and then I'm gonna have this here. I have option for the diagnosis. Oh, sorry. That, and in the management, something like this. Okay, so I have jumbled stuff here. I have 3 options for the A, 3 options for the B, etc., etc. So let's click on next. It will tell me what is the correct sequence or what is the correct options. For example, if you want to say that the diagnosis of this case, for example, is discoloration, management is follow-up, and the patient is 8 years of age. This is the correct sequence. So let's click on submit and run the test. We go all the way down to the end. And this is very nice for cases of scenarios or for OSPE examination. You're going to have an image. You're going to have certain items or certain inquiries or questions that you'd like to ask your student. And from a list, he or she can pick or choose the answer. If you want to make sure that the student is a little bit challenged, you can increase the number of choices. You can go all the way up, maybe for 15 or 20 options, but I don't recommend going all that far. Of course, the student can need to be give extra attention when choosing the correct answer, and then you can submit and say okay. So this will give us another option for using the jumbled sentence. The last usage for the jumbled sentence is very neat, which is you can use it to include multiple true-false items in a single question. All right. So instead of having for the true and false each question in a separate item, you can include multiple items together. So I have a couple of items here. So let's paste, and then we'll modify a little bit, and let's have this. So, for example, all of these statements I want to include true and false for them. So instead of having each one of them in a separate question, I can do some modifications. So include a letter in front of each of these items. And then here you can have partial credit. Then, of course, if you want to have two, we can't have two, but we can remove two items or two answers. Have the first one to be true and the second one to be false. And this is going to be repeated in all answers. So we're going to have all answers are going to be true or false. So let's give it the correct answer. Sky is blue, space is small, false. This extent, which is true. Our galaxy is true. Dinosaurs are mammals, this is false. And let's click on submit. Let's start the test. And before start the test, actually, this statement. Sorry. So this question has 5 items. So instead of having 1, we can have, for example, 5, 1 grade for each item. And then we click on OK, and let's run the test. In the navigation, we go all the way down. And you can see that we have all the items here, and in front of each one is a true or false. Can choose here, and let's click submit, and it will give us the answers at the end. So this is the answers that we have chosen, and this is the correct sequence. So jumbled sentence is very powerful. You can use it as multiple MCQs. You can use it as multiple true and false. You can use it as scenarios and in OSPE for OSPE purposes. I hope these videos were useful, and inshallah in the following few days we're gonna continue on working on the exam execution in Blackboard as well as the grading center. I was working on those videos. However, since I got a lot of questions regarding the items and the questions, I thought to include 2 additional videos to help people and faculty members to create the exam questions. And then inshallah, next video we're going to explain how to execute the exam, and the following one will be related to grading center. Thank you for your attention. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.